I don't want to see that guy with his dick tucked between his legs, and I'm afraid that's what's going to end up happening here.
From Nexus Studios and published by Daedalic Games, Randal's Monday is considered the first point-and-geek adventure game. It begins, as you'd rightly expect it to, on a Sunday night. His best friend Matt is getting married to the girl of his dreams, so they've all gone to their local watering hole to celebrate, and after drinking enough to make George Best blush, Randal steals a ring from his friend Matt, who planned to give the ring to his fiancée, and it's from this moment that everything becomes a bit pear-shaped. Monday arrives and our protagonist finds himself hungover, confronted by a landlord demanding the last 3 months of rent, fired from his job as a delivery boy, and then dragged over to Matt's apartment just in time to see his mangled corpse hanging out of the oven. Believing that stealing the ring probably wasn't the best idea, Randal finds his suspicions are confirmed when he wakes up the next day, only to find that it's Monday again, and so sets out to find a way to break the curse.
Get Bill Murray's number.
Hold it, Charlie. Bill can't help this time.
Why not? He's been through something very similar. I think we should at least check IMDb.
Shut up and listen carefully.
Instead of a strict Groundhog Day scenario, Randal's Mondays will change depending on the actions taken the day before. So, while the day itself will repeat perpetually, the events that play out will change based on how you've changed the physical world around you, and how the universe changes to make sense of it. It's a refreshing method of keeping the action varied despite it all taking place on the same day repeated ad infinitum, but it's not one that the premise fully lives up to. When it comes to the story of Randal's Monday, it's very much a case that it's great in concept, but less so in its actual application. The way time loop shenanigans are treated is great in theory, but the game seems perfectly content to just trot along from one moment to another without really knowing what to do with itself half the time.
Haven't you ever seen Doogie Howser, MD?
And your name is?
Hauser. Dr. Doogie Howser.
I am sorry, Dr. Howe.
It's also compounded by a more than disappointing ending, but what makes it so much worse is the fact that the developers seem to know that and decided to have characters talk over the credits pointing out how bad the ending was and how little sense it made instead of, actually making a better ending. It's a massive pet peeve when games point out their own flaws and do nothing about it, and it particularly stings here because some of the things they mention are stuff that would have gone unnoticed and escaped your notice entirely if they hadn't gone out of their way to point it out.
Who I am? I was Mr. Lucas's personal assistant. I created Jar Jar.
You got any idea of paperwork?
Although I wasn't expecting the game to be a laugh riot, I found myself more than a bit disappointed that, if pushed, I can only remember about 3 moments throughout the entire 11 or so hour experience that managed to elicit at least a chuckle, and none of them were any of the seemingly thousands of references scattered throughout. Instead, all the funniest jokes came when the writers managed to wean themselves off of pop culture for more than a few sentences, and actually let the premise and its absurd dark humour take over. Sadly, those moments seemed all too rare, as whenever the game seemed to have the self-confidence to tell its own jokes, it'd run back into the corner and throw out some pop culture references until it was safe to come out again.
You got no respect for the law, your friends, or the person playing this game. Plus, I don't like your face.
Some knowing winks to things that you'd like were always to be expected, but Randal's Monday is trying to make you constantly aware of its geek cred with all the flailing desperation of an undercover cop who can't be arsed waiting anymore and just wants to make his bust before tonight's X Factor results. Instead of well thought out and subtle quotes that almost take a few seconds to register, everything's fired at you with such constant machine gun intensity that, were there any great references, they'd all too immediately be lost in the crossfire. It's so cloying and needy that the moment it thinks it's found one you'll like, it will latch onto it for all it's worth and keep bringing it up. For that alone, Randal's Monday is unique in that it's one of the only games that has running references instead of running jokes.
Libyan terrorists!
Libyans? Wow, this is heavy, Doc.
There's no time to waste. Here.
Did you like that bit in Pulp Fiction where Samuel L. Jackson double dares someone to say what again? Well, then you're going to love it when 3 different characters all say it with none of the gravitas, skill or impact within 5 minutes. Did you like 2001: A Space Odyssey? Well, wait until you have to spend several puzzle sequences with a robot called Hal who sings Daisy Duke. Did you like Portal? Did you remember when the lady voice told you that the cake was a lie? Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but Randal's Monday takes about 5 opportunities to let you know that they really loved that joke too. The problem with all of this is that considering about 85% of the script seems to be nothing but them. Just blindly referencing things isn't a substitute for actual jokes.
Give me your answer.
This would all be fine if the puzzles made up for it, but that's sadly not the case. In the early stages, you can solve it all if you apply some basic logic, but as the story develops, those moments are few and far between. A clue to how inane and frustrating the puzzles can become is when you finally relent and check the in-game hint system and discover that it's just point blank telling you how to solve each puzzle rather than actually give you clues.
Wilson!
Perhaps the bigger surprise, and indeed the greatest highlight of Randal's Monday, is the voice performance from Clerks' Jeff Anderson. He's a joy to listen to, delivers his lines with gusto, and could well be one of the most underrated voice acting performances of the year. The rest of the characters are well cast for the most part, with maybe a couple of exceptions, but Jeff Anderson really goes above and beyond what you'd expect when taking into account gaming's usual track record with celebrity voices. Conversely, they also hired Jason Mewes to reprise his role of half of Jay and Silent Bob, and it's every bit as bad as you'd expect it to be.
Miss, look behind you. There's a three-headed monkey.
Nice try.
Randal's Monday bills itself as the first point-and-geek adventure, and if the quality of the final result is any indication, it wouldn't be an entirely bad thing if it was the last either. This game had plenty of potential in terms of story, humour and puzzling, but it neatly manages to squander all three. The puzzles eventually veer into the illogical and inane, there are only a few solid laughs hidden amongst the relentless onslaught of pop culture references, and the plot meanders about to an ending so bad that the developers themselves even saw fit to tell you everything wrong with it during its end credits. Although it contains a surprisingly stellar performance from Clerks' Jeff Anderson, the rest of the production is subpar at best. In its desperation to reference every iconic film under the sun, Randal's Monday forgot to make itself a memorable experience.
Yeah, sure, dude. See you later, man. Snoogans.
What?
What? I didn't say anything, man.
Okay.